Well, we're moving right along this week in ELA. We finished up our sea turtle story and video yesterday, and now we're on to a new story today. I just would have liked to just stick with sea turtles. I'd like to read another story about them, wouldn't you? But this story is a bit different. It's more about recycling and reducing waste that we create in our homes. So we've got two new vocabulary words, which is more words, but hey, there's only two of them. So your assignment will be really easy today. You either pick one or the other. The two words are estimate and decay. This is one of those words you can say it estimate or you could say estimate, but this is an estimate, the way it's used. If you give an estimate, you give an amount or size that is not exact. Can you give an estimate of how long the project will take? So I needed some shrubs trimmed at my house. I used to trim them myself, but my shrub trimmers are electric and they're not very big. And these shrubs have gotten really, really big. They're taller than me. And the last time I tried to trim them, I fell off my ladder. So I had a guy come give me an estimate about how much he would charge me to trim them. I like doing stuff myself, but I just needed somebody to help me. Being a preacher and a teacher keeps me pretty busy, and I needed some help. So he came and gave me an estimate on trimming my shrubs, and he wasn't too expensive, so I let him do it. The other word's decay. That's the word you don't want to hear when you go to the dentist, right? Tooth decay. When things decay, they slowly break down and rot. You don't want to have rotten teeth. Or we've also talked about decay and decomposition in science this year, haven't we? Some things take a long time to decompose. Decay is a word that's related to decompose, breaking down and rotting. When plants decay, they help new plants to grow. So there's your two new vocabulary words for the rest of the week, estimate and decay. Now get your reading books out. The next thing I want us to do is read our new story. And this story is called How Can We Reduce Household Waste? And it begins on page 258 in your reading book. So open up to 258. So we read a realistic fiction story about the girl and her grandmother protecting the sea turtles. We watched an informational video about those the sea turtles rescuing those sea turtles. Or were those the Kemp's Ridley sea turtles is what they were called, the name of that type of turtle they were rescuing. And this story is an informational text. Informational texts give facts and examples about a topic. In argumentative text, an author states a claim about a topic and supports it with facts and details to convince the readers to agree with the author's argument. So they're trying to persuade us to do something. What do you think they're going to persuade us to do? If you could read the title and infer what you think this story might be about. Yeah, it's going to be about convincing us to reduce waste that we produce in our home, right? Authors of informational text may organize their ideas using headings and subheadings. The author does in this story. They may organize their ideas by stating a problem and explaining its solution. That's what the author does in this story. Argumentative text include evidence, such as facts and examples, to support the author's argument. So let's get into our story. Remember, it's on page 258 in your reading book. I need you to open your book and follow along. Here we go. How can we reduce household waste? The title page is 259. All right, let me move my picture and we'll start reading. Household waste. Household waste includes all the trash created by the things we throw away. And we throw away many things. In the United States, the average person throws away about 4.5 pounds. Did I say that right? Should I say how we learned it in math? 4 5/10 pounds, 4.5 pounds, 2 kilograms of stuff every day. Only 1.5 pounds, 0.7 kilograms of that gets recycled or composted. The remaining 3 pounds, 1.4 kilograms is household waste. Every day we throw 3 pounds of waste away. Wow. What happens when you add up all the household waste Americans create? It comes out to about 164 million tons, 149 metric tons each year. But this is only an estimate from the U.S. government. No one knows the exact amount of household waste Americans create. In fact, some experts believe it might be up to 7 times that amount. In any case, the huge number of unwanted items ends up in the garbage. And all of this garbage has serious effects on our environment. look at the American waste table down here, including recyclables. This is called a pie chart, and it gives the percentages. Of course, we know a circle has 360 degrees, but on this type of circle, a pie chart, all of these percentages will add up to 100%, a total of 100%. And let's see what all these waste products from our homes we throw away are. Yard waste, I guess that's like grass clippings or leaves when they fall off the tree. Food waste, just food we throw away. Any other thing that's not listed on this chart. Paper products, wow. Glass, metal, plastics, rubber, leather, and fabrics, and wood. Wow. What do we throw the most percentage away? Yeah, paper products, right? 27.4%. About a little more than 1/4 of everything we throw away is paper. We throw away a lot, create a lot of paper waste. Types of household waste. There are 4 basic categories of household waste. The first category is paper, plastic, metal, and glass. The second category is food waste and yard waste. Cleaning products make up the third category. The fourth category is e-waste or electronic waste. This includes items such as old cell phones and TVs. Each of these types of waste has different effects on our planet. The good news is that we can fight the effects of every type of household waste. When we recycle and reuse waste, we keep these materials out of landfills. This helps clean the land, air, and water. It also improves our health. Let's explore each type of waste and find out what we can do to reduce its effects. Oh, here's a picture of a little boy holding plastic bottles. They decompose slowly in landfills. They should be recycled. Paper, plastic, metal, and glass, the first type category here. Paper makes up more than 1/4 of the materials Americans throw away. Paper trash includes things such as notebooks and magazines. It also includes the cardboard and paper packages on the things we buy. Another 1/4 of the waste comes from plastic, metal, and glass. This includes items such as plastic bags. Hang on one second. Sorry, I had a phone call from the boss. Had to answer that there. So let's get into, where were we at? I think we're right here. I'm just going to start reading right here. And if that's not where I was, you can correct me later. Another 1/4 of the waste comes from plastic, metal, and glass. This includes items such as plastic bags and old toys. It includes glass jars and metal cans. Soda cans are usually made of a metal called aluminum. Food cans such as beans and soup usually come in cans made of steel. Newspapers are one type of paper trash. What are some others? Do you throw a lot of paper away? How about those food bags from like Pals and McDonald's? Yeah, that's a lot of paper too, isn't it? So what are the effects from paper, plastic, metal, and glass? When products are thrown away, they often end up in landfills. These are places where trash is buried in the ground. Other trash items are burned in incinerators. Landfills and incinerators cause problems for our planet. For instance, when paper rots in landfills or burns in incinerators, it sends out greenhouse gases. These gases trap heat in Earth's atmosphere. Greenhouse gases are important because they make our planet warm enough for life, but too much greenhouse gas leads to higher temperatures. Things made of plastic takes a long time to decompose or break down into smaller bits. So these products stay as they are for hundreds of years and take up space in landfills. They often leach or leak dangerous chemicals into the environment. When plastic is burned in incinerators, it releases chemicals into the air. Many of these chemicals are harmful to people and plants. So when you burn plastic, it releases chemicals into the air. You ever smell plastic burning? It doesn't smell very good. In the United States, more than half of all waste ends up in landfills. We have your parents drive you out by the landfill sometime in Morristown. Huge mountains of trash. I think I've told you that before this year. Oh, another phone call. All right, the boss called back. Sometimes trash does not even make it into landfills or incinerators. Many household items end up as litter in parks, forests, rivers, lakes, and oceans. The litter problem is so big that vast sections of the ocean are covered with bits of plastic. That's sad, isn't it? All that litter puts toxic chemicals into the land, water, and air. This can make plants and animals, including humans, very sick. Animals can also get trapped in plastic trash and starve. Sometimes animals eat small pieces of trash because they think it's food. These animals often get sick and die as a result. That made me think of the Happy Feet movie. Remember the penguin? Oh, the king penguin. He had a plastic thing like this down here around his neck. Do you remember that? And so they thought he was something special, but he ended up about dying from it because it was choking him. That looks nasty, doesn't it? See all that trash in the water and that poor duck's trying to swim around? We want to keep it out of the water. What can we do? So here's like the problem, and this is like the solution, right? You can reduce the amount of trash you create. Start by buying only what you need. When you do buy something, look for items made from recycled materials. Also look for products that have little or no packaging. One good choice is buying whole fruits and vegetables instead of those in boxes or bags. When shopping, bring reusable bags instead of using disposable plastic bags. When you're ready to get rid of something, look for ways to reuse it. For example, an old shoebox can become a storage bin. If you do not want an item that's in good condition, give it to someone else. If no one wants it, try to recycle it. If you have to throw it out, dispose of it properly so it does not become litter. Look here. One way to reuse an old can is to make it into a flower pot. We've got some Halloween decorations made from old cans like that. Do you know that different types of plastic are given different numbers? Numbers 2, 4, and 5 are the least harmful to people and the environment. I think it's labeled on in a little triangle. Oh yeah, there it is right there, an example. If you find a plastic bottle, you can find that triangle and see what number is on it. 2, 4, and 5 are the least harmful. People are also finding ways to make better use of all our trash. For example, some clothing is made from recycled plastic bottles. Scientists are also studying whether a certain fungus can eat a common type of plastic. That would help cut back on all the plastic that fills up landfills. Now we'll move to a new category, food waste and yard waste. Food and plant materials make up another quarter of the trash in the United States. Food waste is all the food people throw out. It includes meal scraps and food that went bad before it could be eaten. Plant waste usually comes from the yard. It includes grass clippings, leaves, and branches. The effects of food waste and yard waste pollution. In the United States, farmers produce more than 590 billion pounds, 268 billion kilograms of food every year. But Americans waste between 1/4 and 1/2 of that food. Farmers sometimes let fruits and vegetables rot in fields. They often do this when the food is not an ideal shape or color because it makes it harder to sell. Stores throw away a lot of food too. They want customers to have plenty of choices, so they stock more food than they plan to sell. They also get rid of many foods that do not look perfect. People waste a lot of food at home as well. Families often fail to use their food before it goes bad. And many people buy more food than they can use. When food and yard waste ends up in landfills, it rots. This creates methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. Remember, greenhouse gases they can heat up the environment. These tomatoes have skin cracks, so the farmer left them in the field. I usually take them when I grow them in my garden. If they've got some of those skin cracks like that, I just cut them up and peel them, make some salsa, make a good salsa. Cut those gross looking parts out. All right, solutions to food waste and yard pollution. So here's we saw the problem. Now let's look at the solution. Come on, I'm sliding all over the place. A woman in Seattle shows her 3 waste bins. Waste in the 2 large bins will be recycled. Waste in the small black bin will end up in a landfill. Solutions to food waste and yard waste pollution. How can you help? Well, take only the food that you plan to eat. Try not to be too picky. For instance, cut a bruise out of an apple and eat the rest instead of throwing away the whole apple. Governments are getting involved too. The city of Seattle, Washington passed a law in 2015. It requires people to recycle food waste. The city fines people who do not follow the law. Mulch can be made from many things, including wood chips, grass clippings, and hay. People can generate less yard waste by keeping leaves and grass clippings on the lawn. These materials provide natural nutrition to the landscape. People can shred leaves and grass clippings to make mulch. Mulch is a layer of material that's spread over the ground. It keeps the soil healthier. You can also turn food and yard waste into dirt. This process is called composting. Some people use special bins for their food scraps and yard waste. Other people simply make a pile out in the open. Over time, these materials will naturally decay and turn into dirt. Then you can use the dirt to plant a garden. There's a compost bin. Usually takes 2 to 6 months. Kind of gross, but it turns into nice, healthy dirt when it decays. And e-waste, that electronic waste. People today have more electronic devices than ever before. Many homes have TVs, video game systems, and cell phones. These devices make up a growing part of our trash. And just like other kinds of trash, these devices can cause a lot of harm when they're thrown out. Old cell phones are one example of electronic waste. What are the effects of e-waste pollution? Well, electronic waste or e-waste contains many toxic materials, but less than 15% of e-waste is recycled. That means most e-waste ends up in landfills or incinerators. When e-waste is buried or burned, the toxic materials can be released into the land, water, and air. What does toxic mean? It means it's poisonous. E-waste contains a high amount of lead. If e-waste is not disposed of properly, lead can leach into people's water supplies. When people drink this water, it can damage their kidneys. It can also damage their blood and nervous systems. I don't want to drink any of that water with lead in it, do you? Solutions to e-waste pollution. You can reduce harmful e-waste. First, do not get rid of electronics that still work. Second, when you do get rid of electronics, look for recycling programs at local stores and government offices. These programs should guarantee that e-waste will be handled responsibly. If your favorite electronics company does not have a recycling program, ask the company to start one. This picture says, take good care of your cell phone so it'll last a long time. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. You can help stop household waste pollution by following the 3 R's. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. These R's are listed in order of importance. That means the most important step is to reduce. The less we buy, the less trash we produce. So the next time you're at a store, think about what you really need. If you can live without something, consider leaving it on the shelf. The second most important step is reuse. When you do buy something, try to use it until it wears out. And if you do not need it anymore, give it to someone who will use it. That way it will not go to a landfill. The third most important step is recycle. When it's time to get rid of something, make every effort to recycle it rather than throwing it in the trash. In most areas, waste disposal companies provide separate recycling bins, so people can easily recycle paper, glass, some kinds of plastic and metal. Some items, such as paint and batteries, are harder to recycle, but many areas have centers where these items can be brought for recycling. Do you have old toys that you don't use? Consider giving them to your younger kids. Consider giving them to younger kids instead of just throwing them away. I'm saving my dollars for my grandkids. American recycling rates from 1960 to 2010. Percent of waste recycled and the year. So this is a good thing, isn't it? In 1960, Americans only recycled 6.4% of waste, but 2010, 34% of waste is recycled. So that's good. That's a good thing. Working together to find solutions. Many places have laws that require people to recycle. The city of Austin, Texas has set a goal to cut the amount of trash it sends to landfills to nearly zero by the year 2040. The country of Sweden has nearly achieved this goal. It sends only 1% of its trash to landfills. Household waste is a major problem, but we have the power to solve it. And the solution begins with making smart choices in our everyday lives. All right, so there was our story about reducing waste in our homes. What do you think about it? We can do those things, can't we? We can make a difference and make an impact, a positive impact on the environment by following some of the suggestions in that text. I know we can do it. Well, here's what I want for you to do for me today. First off, you've got those vocabulary words we looked at a minute ago, estimate and decay. You've got just a little 2-question quiz on them. But then you've got another grammar activity that I want you to do. I'm not going to go over it today like I have the last 2 days because it's the same thing, so you know how to do it by now. So you've got a grammar activity and a vocabulary activity for me today. So I'll let you get started on them right now.